Good morning, TGIF. It's Robert, and this is going to be my take for the 2019 NFL Draft, which started last night, the first round. I'll give you my reactions to majority of it, but mostly my reactions to who the New York Football Giants picked. Because that's my favorite team, and that's who I like to talk about, so that's who I'm going to talk about. But it started off with the first pick, the player that was taken, Kyler Murray at number one. Yeah, that was pretty much the expectation of where he was going to go. Um, Now the Cardinals have two quarterbacks, one they drafted in the top 10 last year, and Josh Rosen. From what I've read, and I agree with this, the that the fact that they haven't traded him now or by now is really lowering his value. If they, I say that because the teams that drafted quarterbacks in the first round yesterday, they don't need him or a quarterback like him anymore, and there's less teams that would need him. So if from everything that was written, he would have gone for a second round pick last or yesterday, potentially with the Giants or another team. But now, maybe a third or fourth round pick for him. So it's kind of like the Cardinals kind of screwed themselves. I don't know, but I feel like, and just from what I've read, Josh Rosen's value decreased to like a third or fourth round pick. So we'll see. Um, and what happens if they have both the quarterbacks and just let them compete? It doesn't seem to make much sense. So I'll start with my Giants. And at 6, they drafted Daniel Jones from Duke. 17, they drafted Dexter Lawrence from Clemson. And then they traded up to 30 to get DeAndre Baker, cornerback from Georgia. So it was a shock that Daniel Jones was drafted at 6. What I'm going to say, I'll preface with, I don't know if this is what happened, but this is what seems like, my take on what happened and why they drafted Daniel Jones at 6. I think Dave Gettleman thought that they were going to be able to get Daniel Jones at 17, and they wanted him at 17 very badly. And then through the week, they started hearing like people were hyping up Daniel Jones. But draft day, and I just heard this today on Big Board Sports, the Redskins must have put it out there that they were going to draft Daniel Jones at 15. So Giants are at 17, Redskins are at 15. They were going to draft him and potentially move up. So the Giants, I think they were trying to move up past the Redskins to get Daniel Jones, but they couldn't find a team to take or to trade to get a higher pick, higher than 17. So they panicked and took Daniel Jones at 6. So here's the problem that I have with that. If that's your guy, great, but Dave Gettleman said consistently, even in his pre-draft conference, that you don't draft for need. It screws you all the time. So you draft for the best player available. So if you're going to tell me that Daniel Jones was the sixth best player in the draft, um, there was there wasn't any other players better than him where he merited the sixth pick. I would question that. I would challenge that. Um, and, I really hope that this pick doesn't come back and he's a bust and everything else. I mean, I would give it 3 years to see if Daniel Jones, to see that if Daniel Jones is going to be a quarterback that can play number one in the NFL and number two in New York. Or maybe I should switch it around because New York is not an easy place to play. So I think the Giants kind of panicked because they were expecting him to be there at 17, and then got a lot of information that he wasn't. So they had no choice because they couldn't trade out of the 17th pick to take him at 6. So, please, I don't want to see the Giants screwed by this, but if this sits back their franchise, that's why. Again, I hope they don't do. So anyway, they took Daniel Jones at 6, and they're going to get their fair share of criticism for that. And again, in 3 years, Daniel Jones is an All-Pro. Best case scenario in the history of all. He's Patrick Mahomes, MVP candidate, and I'm not saying that he is. I'm talking about potential, or everything went right, like Derek Jeter type situation where, just everything storybook type thing, MVP. Worst case scenario, he's Dave Brown. Which I love Dave Brown, but the Giants didn't win much with Dave Brown. Dave Brown was a quarterback from Duke that they drafted. So, whatever, he's another Duke quarterback. I don't know, but again, I'm saying all this. I don't know. It just as an outsider looking in, and gathering all the information. That's what I gathered would happen for Daniel Jones. Again, I don't know it, but it makes sense. But who knows? We'll see. Again, 3 years, find out about Daniel Jones. So 17, they took Dexter Lawrence, lineman from Clemson, almost 350 pounds. Maybe he's a younger Damon Harrison, Snacks. I think I haven't read up entirely everything on him, but I think he has pass rush potential. So I don't know, 350-pound pass rusher. Most likely they drafted him because he's another force or another player that can prevent them getting run on. It seems like a good solid player. And then 30, the Giants traded up to get DeAndre Baker. He's a nice combination from what I've read on him of man coverage, press, and zone. Mostly a press corner. I guess the drawback with him is he needs assistance when covering faster receivers that are going to run deep. So usually with press corners that are aggressive, they bite on moves and then they get beat long. And I think being a corner that with that in that type of situation, you have to have good recovery speed. From what I heard, he doesn't have great recovery speed. So if he bites on a double move, touchdown. So I don't know. It's impossible to gauge anything right now. It's April after the draft. You have to see how these guys play, not in preseason, but in regular season. All these measurable things of the combine, you can't. You have a little bit of an idea, but they don't translate into game type thing. There's game strength. There's game speed. Jerry Rice, again, I'll use him as an example. Didn't have a fast 40, but in game time, very fast. So I think it's being able to perform with equipment on and being able to understand the game, and rookies will have their struggles. So I don't know. So they got 2 defensive players. Hopefully that they're stalwarts in their defense. I would have me personally. They had a chance to draft Josh Allen or Ed Oliver, and Ed Oliver seems like he is just like a man among boys on the defensive line. Josh Allen, everything that I read and seen when I play, he a nice edge rusher, but could cover too. So he kind of like a do everything defender. So I would have liked to have seen that. but, maybe the Giants have other players targeted in the second, well, they don't have a second round pick because they traded, I'm pretty sure. So, I don't know, I'll give the Giants draft a C. Um, and we'll go from there, but that's my initial things about the players. You read this, you have comments? Tell me what you think. The draft was very interesting last night. It was enjoyable, even though it was frustrating. So, giving the Giants a C for their draft, and that's it. Have a good day.